Hi everyone, Katarina here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share how I made this gorgeous card which I made for an engagement, and you can see it is a diagonally folded easel card, but this would make such a lovely card for a wedding, I'd say, or Valentine's Day is today, so if you're a last minuter you could still make some of these. They are quite easy put together. It's really the decorations that took me the longest to make this, but swap the hearts out for some different elements and you could make this for any occasions at all. So as I say, the card base comes together very easily. This is a 7 by 7 inch card base on which the front is scored down diagonally from the top right corner to the bottom left. You could go the other direction as well, then your card front would fold the other direction. I just chose to go with this one for this card. So the way I do that, I line up my scoring tool in the same groove as that top corner of the front flap of the card is. And I'm going to score down just diagonally, but you can do that easily using a ruler as well. So now this is it. All you have to do is decorate this now. To do that, I'm going to start with some mats and layers. So for the card that I already showed at the start of this video, I used papers from the gorgeous paper pad Beautiful Bouquets from Chloe's Creative Cards. And these are in lovely tones of like pale pink. However, I didn't have any left in like peachy-ish kind of colors left in this paper pad. I used them all up before on previous cards, but that is what I wanted to do for today's card, and there's a reason behind it. I will talk about that later in this video. So I've printed out a gorgeous peach and green wedding papers, which I got on Etsy. I will link to them in the description box below if anyone would like to check these out. They are gorgeous papers, very subtle colors, have this lovely musical design, and it's called The Perfect Day, and I think it's perfect for wedding cards, engagement cards, or any special occasion cards with subtle colors. So the silver cardstock measures 6 3/4 by 6 3/4, and the design paper measured 6.5 by 6.5, but I haven't glued those down onto the card base just yet. I will explain in a wee second why. So for the top triangular fold, a piece of mirror cardstock, a silver mirror cardstock, I cut 6 5/8 by 6 5/8 of an inch and cut down diagonally from corner to corner. And for this printed design paper, this one measured 6 1/4 by 6 1/4, and again I cut it down from corner to corner diagonally. Now layering these up with the measurements that I've just given you, it gives you the same or very near the same kind of a border on the triangular pieces as is on the base of the cardstock with the square ones. I use double-sided tape to layer the design paper on top of the mirror cardstock, and in here I'm just using my Collard glue to glue these on top of my card base. Here's the triangular piece. And now this is the reason why I haven't glued the square pieces onto the base yet, because I wanted to explain. So if your paper is directional, you're gonna have to think of which way the card will be displayed. Where do you want your directions to go? Now I do have some very subtle musical notes in there, which makes the paper directional, but it sits very well either way. I, however, decided I wanted to put my flowers in the corner there, so this is what I'm going with. But if you have some writing or some real directional designs on your paper, you will want to think about it. If it's a bit confusing, it's just best to choose paper that is non-directional. Like I had on my previous card, the foliage on it could have gone either way. So just give it a thought before you glue your paper down. Now I have to work on my hearts, and I'm using the heart nestables from Creative Craft Products, and I'm using the 6, 7 and the 8 sizes from the smallest size. So the largest heart at the widest one measures about 4.5 inches and the smallest one about 3 inches. If you have a different set, these are roughly the measurements that I used. So I layered them up just like you can see in there, and I cut out them from mirror cardstock. In this previous card I used holographic mirror cardstock. For this one I decided to go with just silver mirror cardstock. And then I just have to play about just to try arranging them in a way that you like them best displayed. The only thing is try to pay attention that you stay kind of contained with them within that square when the card is laid flat. because if you overhang it, then you will have to think about making a bigger box or a bigger envelope for it. Obviously, it doesn't really matter if you're hand delivering, but I just kind of like it having contained within that square. Now I want these hearts to be intertwined, so I just cut a little slit on the smaller heart where it crosses the larger heart. Just added a little bit of a glue, and I'm going to try to glue this together just on that crossing point. I'm holding it there for a wee second to make sure it sticks, and it doesn't. So I just have to do it all over again. There's still enough glue in there, so I'm just applying a little bit more pressure, and it's easier to do it when it's not sitting on top of the card, where I was afraid of smudging some glue out onto the white piece of cardstock there. And then on the other crossing point, where the small heart comes in front of the large one, I added another wee dot of glue, and again just applying a little bit of a pressure, and now my hearts look lovely and intertwined. Now you may already have some dies that will cut out a design like this, but if you only have plain hearts like I do, it's very easy to create intertwined hearts like this, and I love doing this. I've done this on cards before, on different projects before, and I think it's such a lovely way to use your dies, again in a slightly different way. Now to glue these hearts onto the card front, I have to make sure that my glue only goes onto the parts of those hearts which touch the design paper on the bottom triangle. If I went any higher up with my glue on those hearts, that would kind of glue the whole card shut and it just wouldn't function as it should. So I'm just very carefully making sure the glue only goes onto the bottom part of those hearts which touch the bottom triangle. Now the mirror cardstock that I use is quite heavyweight, so they stand up very nicely once I open my card, but if you're using lighter weight paper for this, you might want to reinforce it with some cardstock by cutting out the same design and glue it behind them. And now talk about decorations. I decided to go with flowers today, the same as I showed on the previous card. And here you can see how it has that lovely slight, very pale pink tones. To this I use the Distress Oxiding, the Kitsch Flamingo, very light-handedly. Today I'm going with more of peachy-ish tones. When I'm saying peachy-ish, it's because I didn't have anything called peach in my stash. The ink pad that I used is the Prism Hunky Dory ink pad, and this is the tangerine one. And this came closest in my stash to the color that I was looking for today. The stamps and dies I'm using today is the newest die set from the Flower Power collection from Chloe's Creative Cards, which comes with 2 different stamps to match the same dies, which is so clever because you can create multiple looking cards with the same stamp set. So I've cut out using the dies all the sizes from vellum. I'm only demonstrating one flower here, the largest one, which I feel is the easiest shown on camera in here. So it is cut out of vellum, and I'm using the stamps on the right hand side there, as I was showing you the stamps there. For an upcoming video, I'm using the other design as well, so check back for that as well. So in here I just use my anti-static bag on top of this vellum, and I'm using my Versamark ink pad to stamp this design onto the vellum. It is very easy to line up, but trust me, if you get it a little bit off-centered, it will still look just as beautiful. Once it's stamped, I'm going to use white embossing powder and just heat set this, and I'm using 2 layers for each flower, so 2 large ones, 2 medium, or 2 small ones for the flowers that I'm making today. Now, my color choices. It is because I was making this card with a challenge in mind that is ran over Craft World by Maddie, and she calls it the Peach Fuzz Challenge. Now, Peach Fuzz is apparently the new color of this year dictated by fashion gurus, companies. I'm not really at home in the subject, but if you do like fashion and stuff like that, it would make a whole lot of sense for you. And this was the color that was closest to the Peach Fuzz color that Maddie posted under that challenge as a guide. So very light-handedly, I'm just adding it on the underneath of the vellum, so not on the top side where I heat embossed it, but underneath. And I'm going to add some glitter to this. Just at the very end, I'm adding little dots, and I'm going to use my chunky glitter, and this one is the Chunky Crystallina by Chloe's Creative Cards. Now you can see it's still white in there. It doesn't show much sparkle because this glue has to dry, but once it dries back clear, here is the difference that it makes. You can see in my right hand, all you can see is that gorgeous sparkle, no white of the glue at all. So on the bottom layer, I added a little bit of a heavier layer of that same ink. So to shape these petals a bit, to give them a little bit of a dimension, I'm holding this the wrong side up now, so the inky side up, and just drawing in the middle of each petal towards the stamen, I'm just adding a little bit of a crease with my fingers. So when I turned it the right way up, it will give it that lovely, gorgeous dimension. And I'm just using a little bit of a hot glue to attach these petals together. So the darker layer is on the bottom, the lighter layer is on the top. And this is exactly how I created all of them. I'm using 5 altogether for this card, 1 of the large ones, 2 of the medium, and 2 of the small ones. Now, just to add a little bit of a stamen, I'm using a stamen dies from the Beautiful Bouquet collection, which I cut out of the mirror cardstock, the same mirror cardstock I used for the layers. And the Swirly Foliage die, which is again from the newest collection, I've cut out some of vellum, and I added bundled sage, distress oxiding on the undersides again. And this is exactly the same one I used on the first card as well, the bundle sage. I think it just gives such a lovely subtle green color to them. So I've cut out a bunch of those. I inked them all up off camera. It's just no point making this video even longer. For my sentiment, I went simply with congratulations. And if you wish, there's still enough room underneath the sentiment to personalize this card with names or a date, or if you wish. The congratulations stamp I used is from the Wedding Sentiment Builder Stamp and Die set from Chloe's Creative Cards. And I'm just going to stamp this on a piece of white cardstock, which I pre-treated with some anti-static powder. I'm using my Versamark sticky ink to stamp this, and I'm going to use the Wow polished silver embossing powder to heat emboss the sentiment with. When stamping fine lines like this sentiment, I prefer to apply less pressure when pushing down on the sentiment and double stamp if I need to, rather than applying too much pressure, and then sometimes those lines just blur together too much and it does not look just lovely fine writing, just like this one does. Once this is done, I'm just going to cut this down to size, and just to give you a rough idea for my measurements of the card, this one I've cut to about 4 inches by 1 inch, or just a little bit under 4 inches. I think it came out like 3 7/8 of an inch by 1 inches. And then I'm going to cut another piece of cardstock to 1/8 of an inch bigger. That would be 4 inches by 1 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to ink up the sides of that using the same ink I used for the flowers, and this is the tangerine one. I'm going to layer these on top of each other, just using liquid glue. Now on the bottom of that, I'm going to apply some foam tape, and I'm going to layer it up on top of this mirror cardstock, which I cut to, again, slightly bigger, and this one measured 4 1/8 of an inch by 1 1/4. And I'm going to use a double-sided foam pad to adhere this to the mirror cardstock, and then I'm going to again use double-sided foam pad on the bottom of the mirror cardstock to adhere this to my card. But before that, I'm going to decorate the front of my card. I just prefer doing this while I can still lay this completely flat. So I have my flowers and the stamen in here, and I'm going to use hot glue to glue all these down in here. Now I'm adding the largest flower in the middle, and I'm kind of following the same design that I did on the previous card. So I didn't have to think about that this time, because I had already figured all the best layout, which I liked the best, on the previous one. And in here I'm just using a hot glue gun to arrange everything. I trust the hot glue gun most. I know some of you like to use this 3D glue gels. No, I've tried. It's just, I'm not getting the hang of it. I find it too frustrating, too slow drying for me. I definitely prefer something that sticks much quicker. But that is just my preference. I would love to hear what you like to use, what glues you like to use. I have been trying out some new glues lately that I've never tried before, so I definitely would love to read your comments on this. So in here I'm just adding all the different foliage bits. I'm pinching bits off here and there, adding larger pieces, smaller pieces, single leaves, double leaves, just as it comes randomly. I'm really not paying too much attention. I apologize, I keep reaching over the camera here a lot. It's just the layout of my craft room isn't the best at the moment. I'm getting ready to rearrange it, which I am, and I am not looking forward to, but I can't wait to have just a better setup, so everything is much more at hand and I don't have to keep reaching over to things on the other side of the camera. So this is it ready now. I have to add my stamen and then some pearls for the middle of the the flowers as well. So today is Valentine's Day, and while I'm editing this video, I'm also getting a cake ready with my kids in here, so I'm moving on and off with my editing here. I have some more videos which I've already recorded, I just didn't get to edit down. Unfortunately, last week we had such a funny week. We ended up doing an A&E visit with my daughter who sprained her foot. We initially thought it might be broke, so it was scary, but thankfully it's all better now. After that, my son got sick, and it was a few days on the sofa just cuddling up to him. He couldn't keep anything down, so it was quite a funny, horrific kind of week, and I didn't get to edit down the videos, but I will try to bring them to you as soon as I can. Now we are on a half-term break from work and school, because I work in the nursery school and the school as well part-time. So now I'm at home this week with the kids, which is quite a job and a half again. But we were most certainly all ready for a little break now, and we are going to the cinema this afternoon, so kind of a busy Valentine's Day for us. What are you getting up to today? Let me know in the comments. So in here I just reinforced the foam pad with some liquid glue, because there's double layer of that foam pad. It definitely acts as a very good stopper for my easel fold in there, and I think it looks just so lovely. I really love this color combination. There I just realized that I didn't add enough hot glue, so I just fixed that up very quickly, and this is the card ready. So I'm gonna bring in the pink version as well. How gorgeous are these? Which one do you like more? They are very subtle colors. For engagements and weddings, unless I'm told otherwise, I do like to use just subtle colors, and here you can see close-ups from both of these cards. I think they turned out so beautiful. Let me know which color combination do you like more. I would really love to read your comments on this too. So if you liked today's tutorial, please do not forget to give me the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet done so, and make sure you hit the notification bell so you'll get notified when I upload new videos. I will be back very soon with another lovely tutorial. Until then, bye!